It's amazing. I mean, we sit here, it looks like a little bit of a wasteland right now, but this is about the potential. This is about the future. This is about a forest type that is in decline in BC, and we have the potential here not just to protect a piece of land with the possibility of that forest type, but also we're going to restore it, which is the interesting piece.
This thick red line boundary, that outlines the project area that will be the park. It's about 490 odd hectares. Douglas fir would be a main one, obviously, and western hemlock, western red cedar. Here we've just crossed out of the mature stand into the more recent logging. And you can see how the regeneration has come up naturally and the different species that are regenerating on this site.
It's a beautiful tree, western white pine, very fast growing, very good storage of carbon. This one over here is interesting. It's very tall and skinny because the deer have eaten it. Okay, there's one that's escaped. See, that was browsed and it escaped. So many of the trees are browsed for many years, and all of a sudden, pa-chung, they send up a big, tall leader and they escape the deer.
This forest type here is called the coastal Douglas fir zone. It runs in a very thin band from Victoria through to about Courtenay on the east coast of Vancouver Island. And there's a lot of private land in this area of forest type, and there's not a lot of protected areas, and much of it has been developed. So we're losing this type of forest fairly quickly.
95% of the island was cut. There's very, very little old growth left on the island. They started probably logging here in 1890 and logged through 1920, 1930. That was the first round of logging.
Seeing it from the air gives you a unique perspective, and I got to understand what the opportunity was and what was needed in that forested land on Denman Island. It's really regenerating very, very poorly and needs a lot of help, which is something that we're going to provide. This indicates that First Nations people lived here historically, and this is sort of a dump where they put all the shells after they had their feasts.
It's building a huge root system. And one day that root system will give enough moisture and nutrients and it'll grow 1 meter in 1 year.
One thing that's really nice about this part of British Columbia, it's very productive. You know, it's large amounts of carbon that'll be sequestered and stored in these trees that'll live not just for the 100 years of the project, but could live for 800 or 1,000 years.
And when you talk about the capacity for carbon storage per hectare here in British Columbia, how does that compare to other parts of the world?
Comparing with temperate forest in Europe, it's 4 or 5 times the values that we can see. Actually, we're looking up to over 4,000 tons of CO2e sequestered in the terrestrial ecosystem in all the layers and all the different pools. This tree behind it, we're looking right here, has approximately about 9 to 10 tons of carbon that has been sequestered.
So if we're talking about carbon storage to help with climate change issues, we have to make predictions about what should we do, what species should we plant, how should we manage it, and what is the carbon balance of different ways of managing the forest.
It's a memorial to the trees that were, and maybe the trees that will be.